In the small, isolated town of Millville, an eerie calm settled as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across empty streets. The once bustling community now stood silent, its usual vibrancy replaced by an unsettling stillness. Mary, a nurse at the local clinic, finished her evening shift, locking the medical facility's doors behind her. As she stepped into the dimly lit parking lot, a shiver ran down her spine. The air felt charged with an unspoken tension, a prelude to an impending storm. Mary quickened her pace, clutching the strap of her bag as she navigated the deserted streets. The amber glow of streetlights cast elongated shadows that seemed to dance in sinister rhythm. As she approached her apartment building, Mary noticed a distant, low growl echoing through the night. Unease settled in her gut, and she glanced nervously around. The source of the sound eluded her, hidden in the shadows. Upon entering her apartment, Mary turned on the TV for some background noise, hoping it would drown out the disquieting growls that still echoed in her mind. News reports flickered across the screen, but she paid little attention until a breaking news alert seized her focus. Residents warned to stay indoors due to violent attacks. Authorities investigating. The news anchor's voice quivered. Mary's heart quickened as she listened to reports of inexplicable violence erupting in various parts of Millville. The victims, displaying a disturbing aggression, overwhelmed first responders and law enforcement. The unsettling truth enfolded a wave of seemingly mindless attackers, driven by an insatiable hunger for flesh, had descended upon the town. A chill crept up Mary's spine as she realized the gravity of the situation. Zombies, a concept relegated to horror movies, now seemed like a horrifying reality. Panic set in, but Mary forced herself to think rationally. She grabbed her phone and dialed her brother, Mark, who lived nearby. "Mark, something terrible is happening. Have you heard about the attacks?" Mary's voice trembled. Mark's hesitant response confirmed his awareness of the chaos outside. They decided to meet at Mary's apartment, hoping that safety in numbers would increase their chances of survival. As Mary prepared for Mark's arrival, distant screams and the unsettling moans of the undead permeated the air. The once familiar sounds of a small town had transformed into a cacophony of fear and desperation. Mark arrived with a backpack filled with essentials: water, non-perishable food, a flashlight, and a small first aid kit. They barricaded their apartment door using the big fridge and some other furniture. The siblings wrapped and taped newspapers around their forearms for protection against bites, and armed themselves with kitchen knives. Mark also carved Mary's broom handle into a makeshift spear. The news reports urged residents to evacuate, but the streets outside were now perilous. Hours passed, and the situation outside grew more dire. The siblings peered through the blinds, observing the relentless march of the undead. Fear gnawed at them, and Mary couldn't shake the image of her friends and neighbors succumbing to the nightmarish fate that awaited them. With little communication from authorities, Mary and Mark felt abandoned. Their only choice seemed to be navigating the treacherous streets to reach the outskirts of town, where a chance of rescue might await them. They discussed their options and decided to leave the city. As they cautiously descended the apartment stairs, the unsettling reality of Millville unfolded. Darkened alleyways harbored unseen threats, and every distant footstep quickened their pulses. The distant growls of the undead lurked like a macabre soundtrack to their desperate journey. Their plan was to reach the town's edge through a series of backstreets, avoiding main roads where the undead seemed more concentrated. However, the awareness of the situation heightened as they encountered sporadic groups of zombies wandering alleys. The siblings moved stealthily, occasionally hiding in the shadows to let the undead pass. The once familiar landmarks of Millville now stood as haunting monuments to a town forever changed. As they neared the outskirts, a sense of false security enveloped them. The distant moans seemed less threatening, and hope flickered in their hearts. That hope shattered when a sudden, guttural roar echoed from an adjacent alley. A massive figure, more decayed and twisted than the others, emerged. The siblings froze, their breath caught in their throats. This grotesque monstrosity, once a town resident, lurched towards them with unnatural speed. Mary and Mark turned to flee, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The chase that ensued was a nightmarish dance between survival and the relentless pursuit of the undead behemoth. Mary's breaths came in ragged gasps as she stumbled over uneven pavement. Mark, glancing back, saw the horror gaining ground. In a moment of desperation, they veered into an abandoned store, the bell above the door jingling eerily as they rushed inside. Gasping for breath, they realized they had only a moment before the creature would follow. Inside the store, a dim glow emanated from the flickering overhead lights. The siblings scanned the surroundings, searching for anything that might aid their escape. Their eyes settled on a storage room at the back of the store. It offered a temporary sanctuary, a chance to regroup and strategize. As they barricaded themselves in the storage room, the colossal undead figure slammed against the door. The siblings held their breath, listening to the guttural snarls that reverberated through the wooden barrier. In the confined space, Mary and Mark assessed their situation. The distant wails of other zombies outside the store underscored the urgency of their predicament. They needed a plan, an escape route that would lead them away from the looming horror outside. Together, they concocted a risky plan to exit through a rear door, hoping to slip away unnoticed by the undead congregation. As they cautiously reopened the door, the grotesque figure remained fixated on the barricaded entrance. Its rotted senses ignored the subtle movements within the store. Mary and Mark tiptoed through the dimly lit aisles, their every step measured to avoid attracting attention. Just as they reached the rear door, a sudden crash echoed through the store. The undead behemoth had broken through the barricade. Panic surged, but the siblings pushed forward, driven by the instinct to survive. The back door creaked open, revealing the moonlit alley behind the store. A chilling night air embraced them as they cautiously stepped into the unknown. Their eyes darted in every direction, searching for signs of movement. The alley seemed deserted, but the distant moans persisted. Mary and Mark navigated the maze of narrow passages, sticking to the shadows to remain unseen. Melville, once their peaceful home, had transformed into a labyrinth of fear and uncertainty. Their plan was to reach the outskirts of town, where the chances of encountering the undead diminished. However, as they approached a desolate street, the moonlight revealed a congregation of zombies ahead. The siblings pressed themselves against the cold brick wall, their breaths hushed. As undead passed by, their vacant eyes scanning the surroundings. Mary and Mark, hearts pounding, waited for the right moment to slip past the macabre procession. As the last zombie shuffled away, the siblings moved stealthily forward, determined to avoid any further confrontations. The outskirts of Millville finally came into view, a faint glimmer of hope on the horizon. Their pace quickened, fueled by the prospect of escape. However, just as they reached the town's edge, an unexpected sight halted them in their tracks. A makeshift barricade, manned by a group of survivors, blocked the road leading out of town. Relief washed over Mary and Mark as they approached, hoping for safety among fellow survivors. The leader of the group, a weathered man with weary eyes, scrutinized them. "You two look uninfected, but we can take any chances. The outbreak caught us off guard. We need to ensure everyone in our group is clear." As Mary and Mark underwent a tense inspection, the leader explained that they were part of a larger survivor camp outside the town. The survivors had set up the barricade to prevent the undead from infiltrating their sanctuary. With cautious optimism, Mary and Mark joined the group. The survivor camp, hidden in the woods, offered a fragile refuge from the horrors of Millville. The camp's leader, named Ellis, detailed their struggle for survival and the constant threat posed by the undead. Days turned into nights, and the survivors forged a semblance of community in the face of adversity. Mary, drawing on your medical skills, aided the injured, while Mark contributed to the camp's defenses. Yet, a looming question of what caused the outbreak remained unanswered. Are you scared now? Do you think you can survive the zombie apocalypse? Let us know in the comments and leave a like and subscribe. Thank you.